any one of our 900 SAP Concur employees, when they're walking into a small or medium-sized business, the first thing they're looking for is paper. And paper is the first indication that there are areas of opportunity for us to help them with efficiencies. So, for example, giving them time back, removing the steps in the manual process, and effectiveness in managing their cash and giving them dollars back in their pocket.
That's Crystal Beaumont. She's the Senior Vice President and General Manager for Small and Medium-Sized Businesses at SAP Concur, the global provider of travel and expense management services. She's talking about how creating new efficiencies in the business expense process helps companies gain better visibility into their spending, and how that kind of visibility translates into scalable business opportunities. Hello, and welcome to the Intelligent Business Podcast, presented by SAP Concur. In this series, we examine how organizations are using human intelligence, coupled with emerging technologies, to gain better visibility into how their money is being spent, and how risk is being managed. I'm your host, Michael Barnwell, Executive Editor at the Wall Street Journal's Custom Studios. In today's episode, we hear from Crystal Beaumont of SAP Concur, as well as a customer of SAP Concur, Rob Dancer, CFO of the workforce development company EDSI. They discuss innovative solutions in the spend management space and how those solutions can help transform an organization into a growing, thriving, intelligent business. I'm speaking with Crystal Beaumont. Crystal, why don't we start by talking a bit about the mission of SAP Concur as it relates to your area of expertise, small to medium-sized businesses.
SAP Concur's mission is to help small, medium-sized businesses stay in business longer and to grow. One of the ways that we do that is we meet them where they're at that moment in time, and we grow with them, and that's really important. So, for example, an organization may just want to start with automating a process. Travel, expense, invoice. And SAP Concur absolutely can help them automate a process. But more importantly, we can grow with them so that at any point in time, through global expansion or acquisition or just growing their business, we have the ability to help them anticipate what that's going to look like. And it's really important for us to also help them avoid risk.
What are some of the biggest pain points you're seeing within these companies right now, particularly around travel spend?
Michael, there are quite a few challenges. I would say one is just simple visibility. With small, medium-sized businesses, they typically don't have a formal travel policy and even a managed travel program, and so visibility is a big one. They also, like large organizations, are required to manage where their employees are at through duty of care, and that causes a problem when they don't have visibility to even where their employees are traveling to. And then there's just the simple management of spend that occurs and how they control that spend and making sure they get the best use of their money and where their money's going.
Putting yourself in the shoes of an accounting manager at a small business, what kind of efficiencies is that person looking for?
If you think about a small, medium-sized business, resources are so critical in how they spend their time. And so a lot of times in a small business, you'll have an accounts payable person who's wearing a lot of different hats, as a small business usually has a lot of different requirements of their resources. And so just to be able to take that back office process out of the way for them is a really important thing for both the end users and back office to kind of reutilize their time in more efficient ways.
So you're talking about automating the back office process. Should that be seen as the ultimate answer, or is there more to it than that?
It's the what do you do beyond automation that is really the question. And there's really two aspects of that. One is, how do we really help people have visibility so that they can control their spend before it occurs, and so that they can do more with the spend and have better choices in terms of managing cash flow? The second aspect is giving people the opportunity to grow and helping them move through their life cycle. Our entire mission is to help organizations really have a sustainable company so they can grow and thrive.
In talking with other SAP Concur executives over the course of this podcast series, I've heard the subjects of AI and machine learning come up again and again. Can you help me understand how those technologies help companies get a better handle on their spending?
AI and machine learning are really important today to SAP Concur, and I think businesses in general. And it's an exciting evolution of how you look at data. And so from SAP Concur's perspective, it's an ability to look for anomalies. which we apply in lots of different places within our SAP Concur services, as well as within our own business to see things that maybe, to see the unseen. AI and machine learning have the ability for us to flag or detect things that are out of the ordinary, that are not the norm, to flag for someone within the process to say this may be a duplicate invoice, or maybe in the example of the expense report, someone already submitted that same lunch expense because it's looking through multiple lines within the expense report. So machine learning and AI have, I think, infinite possibilities about how it will help our customers, how it will help us analyze our business, and make sure that we're in the best position to show up really well for our customers.
Crystal, you mentioned seeing the unseen. When a company has that kind of visibility into its travel spend, what does it mean for the bottom line?
Cash flow is the most important thing for a company. And so one of the things we try to do is not just give people visibility, but make sure that they can keep cash on hand and making sure that their cash is utilized in the best possible way. We know that small businesses, there are, I think, about 800,000 that start each year in the U.S. and about 700,000 that go out of business each year. And because of that, it's so important to make sure that we give them the tools and the access to where their cash is at and how it's being utilized so they can continue to grow, because that is really the heart of their business, is their cash on hand.
Let's conclude here by circling back to the issue of growth. Looking at the solutions we've been discussing, ultimately, how do they help smaller businesses maintain viability and growth in the long term?
One of the reasons why organizations go out of business is because they grow. Ironically, of all the things, that's one of the inflection points of any small business owner, is the idea or the thought that, do I want to take the risk of growing? Because that brings new complications, that brings a lot of new cost and unknowns. And so our ability to help them see around the corner and to understand what they should expect in looking for what their opportunities are to grow is really important, and it really sets SAP Concur apart from just being a single point-in-time solution. And it's important to our mission to make sure that we help companies stay in business for a very long time.
Joining me now is Rob Dancer, CFO of EDSI. Rob, to start off, can you tell me a bit about EDSI as an organization?
Yeah, we are a workforce development company. We help great companies train and retrain great employees. So a lot of our business comes from the public sector, where we help government entities run back-to-work programs.
I understand that EDSI uses SAP Concur for business travel management and expense reporting. What are your specific needs in those areas, travel and expenses?
So we have about 670 employees now, and we support them through one location in our Dearborn office in Michigan. And those employees travel to several different sites throughout the country, supporting different clients that we service to get them reemployed. So we have quite a few local travel and long-distance travel employees that we support.
How has the expense reporting process evolved from the time you started until now?
It's evolved quite a bit, Michael. When I first started with the company about 10 years ago, it was probably a 30, 45-day process, at least, to get it just turned in to a receipt, and then another 45 days, generally to 60 days from our customer, to get it collected. Now it takes an employee of ours literally about 8 minutes to start our expense report, attach a receipt, and submit it to Dearborn, all automated, obviously, through the system. And then we can export that right into our general ledger system, turn it into an invoice at the end of the month, and get that receipt collected. It's probably cut it by a third, if not more, on the time side.
What about the expense approval process? Have you seen any new efficiencies or cost savings in that area?
So we've had a few instances in the past where somebody would look online and say, oh, it looks like the flight's $400. That's what they'd write on the travel request. And by the time we got it in Dearborn and booked it, that flight might be $1,200 because now we're within a week instead of 2 weeks or whatever that is. So process today, you go online and utilizing Concur Travel, it gives you all of your options for that travel. Here's the lowest cost. You select it. It goes to your manager who approves it and an administrator who approves it, and it's booked that night. So that process is usually done within 24 hours, and we no longer have to worry about the changing in flight cost, hotel costs, any of those types of things. So it's been significant savings for us.
Beyond expense reports, what other pain points were you trying to solve?
The reporting piece of it as well, or the data collection piece, we had no vision on where our spend was with any of our vendors, whether it be airlines, hotels, mileage, even an employee base, which employees were spending the most or least or any of those types of things. So the reporting and data that we now have vision into is extremely helpful as well.
As you've been putting these new processes in place, what's been the reaction of your employees?
Gosh, yeah, they loved it from a couple aspects. So first of all, the time it takes to complete an expense report, as we talked about before, there's no spreadsheet and receipts to attach anymore. It's literally a lot of our employees now use the mobile app through SAP Concur, where they can start an expense report, snap a picture of the receipt and attach it, and submit it through the process extremely quickly. So they've loved that process. The other side of that is because that process is so easy for them, on the back end for us in Dearborn to process that expense report, we can export it into both our Great Plains system, which is Microsoft Dynamics. It's our general ledger system we can export it into, and we can also export it into our payroll system. So employees are getting reimbursed within 2 to 4 weeks, where it was taking 2 to 4 months before to get them reimbursed.
Rob, in looking at these efficiencies, the time savings, how does it translate on the operations side? How, if at all, does it affect the way your company delivers its services?
Yeah, I think the benefit that we've seen on the operations side is similar to that on the administrative side. We continue to run the same program in multiple years for a contract with the same amount of money. So each year we're asked to do more with less, as most people, I guess, are in the business world today. But this allows our employees that are helping participants or helping our clients get back to work, spend more time with those clients, right? They spend a lot less time on administrative paperwork, both on the expense side, the invoice side, and even the travel side that we use Concur for now. So the more things we can get processed more efficiently for them, or have their processes be much more efficient, the more time they can spend with their customers.
How about in your world? What have these technologies meant for you on the finance side?
I think in my world of finance, we used to get a new contract, and it's a process where your RFP and all, everybody cheers on one side. Our proposal team would cheer, or sales team would cheer on one side that they've won a proposal, and I think the finance and accounting team would maybe not cheer. We'd kind of give that oh crap moment where like, okay, that's awesome, we got a new contract, and now we have to manage that new contract. And now we really feel like we're in a position to cheer with them and celebrate the successes and know that we have the processes and the technology to support a lot more growth.
We wrap up today with some final thoughts from our guest on the business value of new technologies in the expense management space. First, here's Rob Dancer on how leveraging these technologies has had an even greater impact on his organization than he and his colleagues had first imagined.
I don't think we anticipated how good or how well it would be both received from our employee base and how much it would help us from a cash flow perspective and growth perspective. It's always hard to maybe spend the dollars up front for a return you hope to get or try to analyze and are never sure of. But the SAP Concur technologies that we've invested in, we've seen a big return on it, and it's led us to continue to look at other ways to invest in other software or other technologies throughout all areas of our programs so we can continue to leverage and utilize the technology to have better processes.
Finally, here's Crystal Beaumont with some practical advice for executives at small to medium-sized businesses on how to turn these tech-driven solutions into growth opportunities.
Get rid of that paper. That's the first opportunity by automating and having something like SAP Concur remove that paper and put it in a digital form. The second thing I would say is that data that's on the paper is really, really critical, and it gives you an opportunity to analyze your business. And the third thing is that data then gives you an important opportunity to look for how you want to reinvest both your resources in the form of the time you've just gained back and also your dollars, and making sure that you're putting them in the most strategic places possible. Get rid of the paper, help analyze your information and your data, and then help put yourself in a position to make sure that you can grow and stay in business for as long as you want.
Thank you to our guest today. This has been the fifth and final episode of the Intelligent Business Podcast. If you haven't already, please listen to the other episodes in this series, covering topics ranging from robot-assisted expense reports to enhancing traveler safety. I'm Michael Barnwell of the Wall Street Journal's Custom Studios. Thanks for joining us. To learn more about SAP Concur, visit concur.com/WSJ.